Welcome to the deep dive. Really glad you could join us. We're jumping into something I think a lot of us think about, confidence. Specifically, building confidence when you're, naturally more introverted. And thanks for sending over that fantastic article from Mindful Living. It's called How to Build Confidence When You're Naturally Introverted by Mia
Yeah.
Gibson. And what I loved is how it just cuts through that old myth, that confidence equals being super outgoing. This deep dive, well, it's all about finding that real confidence, not by trying to be someone else, but by tapping into the unique strengths introverts already have.
Exactly. And that's really our mission here. We want to pull out the practical stuff, the actionable
Mhm.
things from Mia Gibson's piece, so you can build up a genuine self-assurance that actually feels like you, right? Instead of forcing yourself into some extrovert mold. Think of this as maybe a shortcut, a way to get how to build confidence by working with your nature, not against it, while still, picking up skills to handle social stuff on your own terms.
Right. Let's unpack this then. We all kind of picture confidence in that very visible, often extroverted way. Loud, bold, always talking. But what does Mia's article say about how it actually looks for an introvert? Is it like totally different?
It really is, and honestly, it's pretty liberating when you think about it that way. The insight here is that introverts don't just, survive in quietness. They actually thrive because of their thoughtful presence. So confidence for an introvert, it can be quiet, steady, calm even. It's less about being outspoken and more about just feeling grounded. For instance, think about a meeting. Confidence might look like offering one really well-considered point. Your words land because you've actually thought them through, or it's that quiet assurance you get from really understanding something deeply, which lets you listen in a way that makes other people feel genuinely heard. These aren't lesser forms of confidence, they're just different, powerful in their own way. Mia even mentions, her own experience. Observing first often leads her to deeper insights. And then when she does speak, people tend to tune in because they know it's considered.
Right. So it flips the script. That quietness, that thoughtfulness, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's the source of their unique kind of power. And just realizing that you don't have to play the extrovert game. Wow, that feels like a weight off, doesn't it?
Totally. And it's not just about opting out of competition. It's about realizing those natural tendencies are actually your advantage, which brings us to maybe the most crucial starting point.
Which is that introversion isn't some problem you need to fix. It's actually the bedrock for building real confidence. That part really jumped out at me. Embrace it, don't fight it.
Precisely. And that begs a question for you listening right now. If you start seeing your introversion as a strength, what does that free up for you mentally?
Hmm.
Because the source is really clear. Introversion is the basis for confidence. Think about the qualities introverts often have naturally, like amazing listening skills,
Hmm.
high emotional intelligence, that ability to connect deeply. Those things are gold, personally and professionally. Mia Gibson even shares how she used to apologize, for being the quiet one, until she realized, wait, this thoughtful nature, it's a gift. And the article gives this really practical tip. List 5 strengths that come directly from being introverted. Keep that list handy. Look at it when you catch yourself wishing you were more outgoing. Self-acceptance, like Mia says, might just be the most powerful tool here.
Okay, so we've got this redefined view of confidence and the importance of owning your introversion. Love that. Now let's get practical. How do you actually start doing this in like everyday situations, those small moments?
Yep. Yeah, okay, so a key strategy is practice speaking up in low-stakes moments. The article really stresses that you don't build confidence by, suddenly tackling your biggest fear. Instead, it's about these things called micro-confidence exercises, tiny interactions, low pressure, things that stretch your comfort zone just a little bit and build up that social resilience. Simple stuff, really. Saying hello to the barista, complimenting someone's earrings, maybe joining a relaxed group chat with people you trust, or just sharing one simple thought in casual chat. Mia talks about her own journey starting small, just making eye contact, smiling at the cashier, then maybe asking a question at the farmer's market. Little steps. The key is consistency, right? Not intensity. The suggestion is maybe aim for one tiny interaction like that each day. It builds positive feedback without freaking you out.
That consistent, not intense idea feels really important. Small, manageable steps build momentum. But okay, what about situations that feel a bit bigger? A networking event, maybe, or giving a presentation? How does the article suggest preparing for those?
Right? That's where the next strategy comes in. Prepare talking points before social situations. And this is framed as like the introvert's secret weapon. It works because, well, introverts often need to process things internally first, right? Before speaking. Extroverts might think while they talk. So preparing isn't cheating, it's just working with how your brain naturally operates. The article gives some concrete tips, like jot down 2 or 3 topics you actually like talking about. Genuine interest. Have a couple of open-ended questions ready to go to keep conversation flowing. You could even mentally rehearse a quick intro line. Mia apparently spends about 10 minutes brainstorming topics before events. She says it cuts down that anxiety, prevents that awful deer in headlights feeling. We've all been there. And having a few thoughtful questions means you can gently steer the conversation if you need a breather. It's not about a rigid script, obviously. It's about having comfortable starting points so your actual personality can come through more easily.
Oh, I definitely know that deer in headlights feeling. Preparing talking points sounds incredibly helpful, actually. Less panic, more presence. So, beyond preparing what to say, what about protecting your own energy and how you carry yourself, the nonverbal stuff?
Yeah, super important. That leads to set boundaries without guilt. This is highlighted as really vital for confidence. Confident introverts know their limits, and they aren't afraid to respect them, even if there's social pressure. It's not about being flaky or avoiding things entirely. It's about sustainable social engagement, so you don't end up totally drained. The source gives examples like, saying no to an invitation without feeling like you need a huge excuse, or planning your exit strategy beforehand for a party, finding a quiet corner for a few minutes to recharge during a long event. The point is, these boundaries aren't selfish. They're necessary for your well-being. They actually allow you to be more present when you are there. The article suggests practicing simple phrases like, I need to head out early, but it was great seeing you, or dinner sounds lovely, but I'll probably skip the after party this time. Clear, kind, firm.
That makes total sense. It's like managing your own battery level so you don't run out mid-conversation. And that probably connects to how you physically show up too, right? Your posture, eye contact.
Exactly. Which brings us to use body language to feel more assertive. And the really cool thing here is that it's not just about looking confident for others. Your body language actually influences how you feel. There's research mentioned showing that adopting more confident postures, it can actually trigger physiological changes, like lowering stress hormones, increasing feelings of power, which is huge for introverts who might physically tense up in social settings. So the specific actions are things like stand or sit with your shoulders back, head up. Keep your arms uncrossed, signals openness. Make steady eye contact. Doesn't have to be constant staring, just, connecting visually. Mia Gibson apparently uses this consciously. If she feels her confidence dip, she adjusts her posture to feel more grounded. The advice is to practice this stuff in low-key situations first, so it starts feeling more natural over time, not like you're putting on an act.
Okay, this is all great stuff, but confidence isn't usually a one-and-done thing, right? It feels like something you need to keep nurturing. What does the article say about keeping it going long-term, making it stick?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an ongoing process. One key strategy is celebrate small wins consistently. Confidence, it argues, isn't built in huge leaps. It's the steady accumulation of small successes, little victories. Our brains are kind of wired to focus on the negative, the threats, right? We overlook our wins. So you have to consciously, deliberately track your growth, as the article puts it. And a win can be anything. Asking that question in the meeting. Staying at the party for the hour you planned. Sending that email where you advocated for yourself. Mia Gibson apparently keeps a confidence journal, just notes down moments where she felt brave socially. And looking back at those entries helps remind her how far she's come. So the advice is maybe set small, specific confidence goals each week and actually acknowledge when you meet them. Celebrate it somehow. That recognition reinforces the positive pathways in your brain.
Making progress visible. I like that. It counters that negativity bias. And what about the people around us? Surely who we hang out with impacts this whole confidence journey.
Oh, massively. That's the final piece. Surround yourself with supportive people. And this raises a really good question for you to think about. How does your current social circle make you feel about your introversion? Supported, pressured? Because supportive relationships, they give you that psychological safety you need to be yourself without judgment. Whereas critical or dismissive people, they can totally undermine your efforts to build confidence. And this is maybe extra true for introverts, who can be more sensitive to the emotional energy around them. Mia talks about being intentional, gravitating towards friends who get her quieter nature, who don't push her to be someone she's not. The article also suggests looking for communities built around shared interests, not just general socializing. Things like book clubs, online forums for hobbies, volunteering, activity groups. These often foster deeper connections, which plays to introverted strengths rather than just, surface-level mingling that can feel draining.
Wow. Okay. So much good stuff there. So recapping this deep dive based on Mia Gibson's article, The big takeaway feels like this. Building confidence as an introvert isn't about faking extroversion. It's not about being louder. It's really about leaning into those natural strengths, thoughtfulness, observation, depth. True confidence seems to bubble up when you stop seeing introversion as something to overcome and start using it as your unique foundation for expressing who you really are.
Absolutely. And that leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. If your introversion truly is the source of your unique strength, how might you start exploring that strength, amplifying it, in ways you maybe haven't even considered yet?